Welcome to the Cordwood Challenge 2024 wrap-up video. For those that are unfamiliar, the Cordwood Challenge is an informal annual challenge to cut firewood using only an axe. So fell trees, limb, buck, split, all that stuff with just an axe. I'm Matt Keevil, I'm emceeing this year. And so the Cordwood Challenge, the purpose is to develop axemanship skills, to get the kind of knowledge that you can only develop through practical experience, and also to share those experiences with like-minded people. So techniques, safety tips, it's a big part of the challenge, and things like that. Philosophy, if you want. The challenge is informal, so you participate in the challenge just by posting either on YouTube or to the Cordwood Challenge Facebook page, and just sharing your results, your chopping experiences, and everything like that. For more info on the challenge, I'm going to put links in the description of this video. So there's playlists and other videos that explain more about it. The challenge started in 2017 with Stephen Edholm at Skill Cult, and the main challenge is to cut the eponymous cord of wood. So a full cord of wood is a stack of wood split that is 4 feet high and 24 feet long. And I'll put the metric equivalent measurements as text, or at least I'll try to remember to do that. Typically, a cord is arranged in 3 ricks that are 8 feet long. So that's how this wood behind me is arranged. And there's also mini challenges. So there's 2 new mini challenges this year that I'll elaborate on later, but there's the Christmas tree challenge. You can kind of guess what that is, and the low stump challenge, again self-explanatory, as well as the 1 tree challenge and the big log challenge. And we'll get more into that later. So people can participate by doing the full cord, or you can participate by just doing the mini challenges and a rick. And so that's great for people that are either just starting to learn how to use an axe and want to start gradually, which is a good idea for practical and safety reasons. But also, people want to participate without having access to enough timber that they can fell to cut a full cord. So that's a way for people to participate under those conditions. So one thing that I plan to do this year is to put out a video that's going to kind of summarize and clarify all the rules that have been put in different places on the Facebook page, on different videos, previous MCs, and try and get them all into one place. And hopefully that will make it easier for new participants and some of us that have been doing it a while, and just make sure everything is clear. All right, but now I'm going to get into the challengers. All right, so the participants this year, we had a mix of challengers from different parts of the world, some returning and some new challengers. I'm going to start with the returning challengers. I'm going to start with Joey Hamilton, who, like me, is from Ontario, Canada. He's posting mostly on Facebook, on the Cordwood Challenge Facebook page, so you can check out his stuff there. He cut 2 cords of wood this year. He has some really nice axes that he used. He's got a bunch of Haltsbrooks, vintage and new, and he's got a Grand Force Brook Montreal vintage Tassies. Really, really nice axes. And he chopped a lot of wood this year. And he also, he did not have to do this, but he sent me a little thank you for hosting the challenge. This is a Lion brand. So as a fellow Canadian, he knows a good classic Canadian axe, and that's what he sent me. This is Welland Vale, before they merged with True Temper, Lion brand axe. It's really nice. I can't wait to sharpen it up, chop with it. Of course, keep it nice, but I am going to swing it. So thank you very much, Joey, for that. Next up, we have Mr. Brian Two Bears on YouTube, and he's also on Instagram. And he's from Tennessee, another returning challenger. He cut a little bit more than a cord of wood this year, but he did it. It's a very challenging condition, so big, tough trees. He had a great big barber cherry, rock maple that he cut down. He had to use cables and everything to make that safe, and that was a big task. So kudos to him for that. He also did a big Virginia pine that looked very tough. He's got great documentation of everything that he's done. So the number of swings he's even counted, and really gets into the fine details of his approach to axemanship and safety, and that stuff's very good. He's got chainmail. He's lumberjack leggings. He's a big advocate for that, and other things that you can do to improve safety. So it's a great idea to watch his videos. And he's got a lot of footage. He's got some really nice axes. He's got Casterman Timber Pilot, and then this year he's also got a Tuatai work axe, which is a beast of an axe. Looks gorgeous. And another beast of an axe, he has tried out and reviewed the Council Tool FE8, so the flathead fire axe that Council Tool just brought out, I believe this year or last year. So he's been swinging that with axe cut wood and otherwise, and so yeah, a lot of chopping footage. If you're one of those people that likes to comment on chopping videos about people wasting the chips, you should definitely check out his videos, because he has an approach to chopping. He's like I said, he's chopping big logs, and he's doing it in such a way that he gets big usable chips. He saves all his chips, so talks about that, how to use them, and things like that. So yeah, definitely check out his videos if you're interested in that. All right, next we have Ta. So Ta participated a little bit last year. This year he cut a rick and did some of the mini challenges, and I'll go over the mini challenges afterwards. But yeah, he cut a rick of wood, a great chopper, one of a number of good choppers out of Vietnam that sometimes post to the Axe Quarterwood Challenge Facebook page. He's also got a YouTube channel. So I'll put links to everybody's YouTube channels if they have them. Yeah, anyway, he's in Vietnam. He's got some neat axes. A lot of his axes are, at least some of them, are custom made by a local smith. They look really good. So yeah, definitely check out what he's been doing. And finally, for returning choppers, me. So I'll roll footage of my results. So here's my results for this year. I chopped a little bit more than a cord. I've got 3 ricks, but they're a little longer, 9 feet, and a little higher than 4 feet. So it works out to 1 1/4 cords, which is what I got done. It's mostly ash, as always, because of the emerald ash borer killing all the green ash around me. But I do have a few other things in there. I've got some aspen and some buckthorn and a little bit of birch down there. And then these are the axes I use. Now, before I get into listing off a whole bunch of axes, I just, especially because actually my collection pales in comparison to some of the really nice axes that the participants this year have been using. So I just want to clarify that you don't need a whole bunch of fancy axes or even not fancy axes to participate in the challenge. As originally envisioned by Stephen Edholm, he suggested that you get really good with one tool. You get a general purpose chopping axe and get the most out of it, and try to do everything or most things with one axe. And some participants this year did that. So, and that's what I tried to do last year. So I encourage people to participate even if you only have 1 or 2 axes. That's in fact perfect. But I have a bunch of axes, and this year I used a few of them. So I got a lot of little work done with this Rinaldi Milano. I also, it's a slip fit, so I can swap out handles. So I do have a longer handle for it that I used. And then I've got a couple what I consider specialty felling axes. So I've got this European style with a narrow bit. It's meant to be a Berliner. It's one I kind of fashioned myself out of a damaged axe. This is a big 5-pound heavy felling axe. I think this actually might be English, but anyway, I tried to use it in the low stump challenge in the British and European style of low felling. I'll talk more about that. That's a new mini challenge for this year. So I'll get more into that later. And then most of the chopping this year I did with these 3 axes. This is a little 3-pound vintage Walters on a black locust handle. Great general purpose axe. I really like this one. This one is a Rinaldi America. So these Rinaldis, they came from Emmanuel Belanger, who has a shop at la.Cognée. And as a friend of the Cordwood Challenge, he did participate a little bit this year, but I think next year is going to be his big year. And anyway, so I've got that, and then I've got this Haltsbrook Egg Door Montreal 3.5 pounds, so the larger one, but I've got it on a white ash handle that I made, and it's shorter than the stock 32-inch handle. So this is 29 inches and a bit, and for the way I use Cinehax, this is a big improvement, having a handle length that I find more comfortable and more versatile. So that's what I did most of my chopping with this year. So for new choppers, we've got Ulla Lindberg in Sweden. He cut 1.5 cords this year. He is My Outdoor Ways on YouTube. Actually, I think he has 2 YouTube channels. He's got one channel for chopping, splitting, bushcraft sorts of things, and then he also does another channel for crafts, so like leather working, things like that. Anyway, lots of great content, very informative. He's cutting in Sweden mostly spruce and birch. I think mainly birch is the preferred firewood there. He also is chopping something called goat willow. But he's got, really interesting approaches to things. So some traditional Scandinavian techniques. He does something called wet felling, where you fell trees in the spring, take a strip of bark, but leave the branches and leaves. That helps to dry it out over the summer. Or at least over a couple weeks, and before you split it and finish drying. So he's also been doing something called buck splitting. At least that's our name for it. It was, I believe, pioneered by Thibaut Montelier, who has a great YouTube channel in France. And then Ulla and Glenn Urquhart, who was a participant from last year in Alaska, have been working out methods for doing that. But briefly, it's where instead of bucking a log into smaller pieces that you split, it's actually splitting off the log as you go to process it. So that can be a very efficient technique in the right kind of wood. So he's been working out methods for that. So check that out. He's another person that uses Rinaldi axes like me. So he's using the Normal, and he has the Calabria, I believe, and he also has some vintage Swedish axes on his own hand. Ragnar Thorrson is in Switzerland, and he's been chopping there as well as in Denmark this year. I believe he got 2 ricks cut. He's posting to the Cordwood Challenge Facebook page, and he's swinging some nice axes. He's got an ML Forged axe from Latvia and a Gränsfors Mal. So those are very nice. And he's got a couple of nice vintage axes too, a Cederbacco and a Weebelhaus, and a nice looking dog. So congratulations on the chopping this year, Ragnar. Next up, we have Takashi Gannett in British Columbia, Canada. He's tacking some trades on YouTube, a brand new YouTube channel. He did the classic version of the Cordwood Challenge, which was to do the full cord in only a couple months. So he did his in less than 2 months, which is impressive. And he used one axe to do most of it, which is a Haltsbrook Yankee Pattern boys axe. So 2.25 pounds and 1,000 grams. Nice, a little general purpose axe. Worked out great for him. Looked like it performed really, really well. He was cutting mostly birch. He also carries a bill hook and uses a scythe to do the brushing out, which I think is, really great tools. And he did his own snap for his scythe, so that's impressive. That's pretty cool. And then last, but certainly not least, we have Mr. Gent, the Appalachian Axeman. I believe he's also in Tennessee, like Brian. I'm not sure. He's in Appalachia for sure, in the mountains. And he cut a huge amount of wood, more than 12 cords. And he's chopping big trees, hardwoods, like he's got cherry, walnut, I think some sweet gum. So yeah, big, tough trees. But he, to help him out with that, he has some gorgeous axes. So he has, he got Casterman, Honecker, Timber Pilot. He's got a couple versions of that axe. He's got Gränsfors splitter. He's got Marcus Lepin's double bit. So if you know Lamica axes, that's the smith who does their heads. Hoffman blacksmithing, wood bullet, the farm axe, Conrad Blacksmithing. He's got a racing style axe from them, and he has the Great Divider, which is an axe made in Australia by Farmer's Forge, big Tassie stuff. So and others, and he's got some vintage axes, vintage Michigan Stasies, high test and stuff like that. So yeah, gorgeous axes, absolute, dream axes for most of us. He swings them, and also he's an older gentleman, absolutely tireless, efficient, accurate, relentless chopping. So it was really cool. He's got a ton of footage on YouTube, so definitely check him out. Yeah, definitely worth your time. A lot of chopping, not a lot of talking, and there's something to be said for that. Okay, so new challenges this year. First, we have the Christmas tree challenge. So that was suggested by Emmanuel Belanger, who did it last year, and it's pretty straightforward. Cut a Christmas tree, try to involve some family. That's, I think, in the spirit of the challenge, make it a bit of a family event. I did that this year. Ula also did the Christmas tree challenge and brought his family out as well. Ta in Vietnam, I don't think he did the challenge, but he did make a pretty cool Christmas tree arrangement with his chopping tools. So that was pretty neat. Joey Hamilton did the challenge, and he also made it count for the next challenge, which is the low stump challenge. So the low stump challenge was proposed this year by Owen Jarvis. He's Elemental Force on YouTube, Axe Cordwood Challenge past participant, a really great chopper. And so he suggested it, and basically the idea of the challenge is to cut a low stump, so a tree that is at least 8 inches in diameter, and cut a stump that is less than 6 inches high, 6 inches above the ground. So that's reflecting the tradition of high value timber felling in Europe, and also sometimes in North America and elsewhere in the world. So Ulla did the challenge, so did Joey, as I mentioned, so did Mr. Gent, the Appalachian Axeman. He did one with a walnut. And I did 2. For one, I used my big 5-pound felling axe, and that worked okay. Okay, and then the second one I used, I tried out a traditional technique for felling a back-leaning tree using just an axe. So instead of using a saw to do the back cut, you do the back cut first with an axe and use a block and wedges to stabilize it, do the face cut, and send it over. And that actually worked. So I have a separate video on both of those. One introducing the low stump challenge, one doing the axe back leaner. So check those out if you're interested. Ta in Vietnam did 2 low stump challenges. He did his. He cut stumps of trees he already felled, but I think that should count. And he definitely found the same thing that I did, which is that especially with larger trees, it's really hard. It's a lot harder to do the low stump. It's a lot more work. It's more difficult. It's more awkward. So he chipped his axe and he broke a sandal, or as Kurt S., another alumnus from Australia, said, apparently that's called blowing out your thong. Okay, so make of that what you will. Brian Two Bears also did it. He did an impressive job because he chose as his tree this gnarly double-trunked Virginia pine. So Virginia pine is one of the hard pines, and it was about 2 feet across at the stump diameter. So that was a really tough one. Used his Casterman timber pilot for that, cabled it together and everything. So that was a real ambitious take on that particular challenge. All right, so for the other mini challenges, one of them is the one tree challenge. So you fell and completely process a tree into firewood in one day. So one tree in one day. Mr. Gent did several. He didn't even count them. He did so many. I did a video of one recently, and Ula did one. Probably other people did. So if I missed any, if you did the challenge and I missed it, please leave a comment. All right, the last mini challenge I'm going to talk about is the big log challenge. So the big log challenge is sort of self-explanatory. You buck a big log. It's got to be more than 50 centimeters in diameter. I'll put that in inches on the screen, but a big log, bucking it all in one go, ideally. And the point of that challenge is because it is almost a whole other experience, bucking a big log like that compared to doing smaller trees. So it's more work than you think. It tends to favor different kinds of axes, so longer handles, heavier heads, fatter cheeks tend to do better on the big log, relatively speaking, than axes that might be more efficient in smaller wood. So that's the point of the challenge. I didn't do one this year. I have done one previously. Todd did one. Yeah, looked great. Got some cool videos of that.
Hi.
So that's pretty neat. Mr. Gent, the Appalachian Axeman, he said he did several. He didn't even keep track. He did a huge one. It took a couple days, but he, well, I don't know about a couple days, but a couple changes of clothes. Yeah, very impressive chopping. And Brian Two Bears, he counted his big pine and also the barber chaired rock maple, which is fair. Those are huge trees. So, yeah, good for him. So that's the big log challenge. Before I wrap up, a couple safety notes. Going over some incidents. One is Ula in Sweden chopped his shin, so I have some unfortunate experience with that myself. He did his hewing, so he had a log on a high trestle and got himself in the shin. Not too serious. Did have to visit the hospital, get some stitches, but yeah, a good reminder to be careful. And then Mr. Gent had a tree go the wrong way. Now he was absolutely cool as a cucumber, definitely cooler than I have been when something like that has happened to me. But still, it's very good, even even if you've got all the chill in the world, to remember to be careful about that sort of thing. So I thought I'd bring that up. And all right, multitasking, reshooting the outro here. But I just wanted to say thank you to all the participants. Thank you to Joey for the axe. That was really nice. Everybody did a great job. Congratulations to doing the main challenge, the mini challenge, the mini challenges. Great chopping this year. Great year overall. Mostly safe. All's well. That ends well in any case. And yeah, you guys have been a great community, sharing advice, tips, commiserations, knowledge, all that stuff. That's it's been a privilege to MC this year, so thanks for letting me do that. And good luck to everyone for next year, for 2025. Keep chopping, stay safe, have a good one. Cheers.